Along the timeline of the country Lebanon, during the late 20th century, this country was in such disarray. It went from being the Paris of the Middle East to being a tragic battlefield. By the late 1970s through 1990s, this country was ripped apart by violent raids ordered into the capital of Beirut. Lebanon had a vast variety of different religions, coming out to a total of 18 across the country. This makes the task of splitting the power amongst the different groups very difficult. In addition, Lebanon had several political issues storming around the country as well. The initial cause of this war was political dislikes and religious power disagreements. It was originally sparked by an attack led by the Phalangists on a Palestinian refugee bus transporting refugees to a nearby camp. This attack made the entire war unravel. The elected president in the early 1960s, Fuad Shahab, made a strong attempt to address the development issues in the country at the time. After a few attempts to sort out the country's issues, he earned a strong reputation for corruption and suppression, as well as the majority of citizens were unsatisfied with the things he had done in an attempt to help their country. On August 17, 1970, Salman Frangieh, the leader of the Maronite clan, was elected the new president of Lebanon. Although the goals were for him to undo the corruption, he ended up being corrupt himself. In addition, the government held no dominance over the expanding militias and the PLO. Later, Frangieh invited Syrian troops to station in Lebanon. He had Lebanese Christians to support him along this risky decision. The Lebanese were under the impression Syria would be there to protect the Christian citizens.
They used to ask us for our ID and they didn't even know how to read. I'm not talking about Syria as a country, I'm talking about the people who were here and killing us.
The conflict led to the city being torn into two halves, East Beirut and West Beirut. What was called the Green Line, dividing the city into two sectors. West Beirut was populated mostly with Muslims, and East mostly with Christians. It got its name, the Green Line, because of the vegetation that grew from being abandoned due to the extreme danger in the area. In addition, along the rooftops, they had snipers awaiting their victims to get in sight for a clear shot to take. These snipers were posted up along the Green Line on rooftops and high vantage points. Some even called it no man's land.
There was a no man's land, so I park my car, I go walking in no man's land, go to see my parents, and come back to live in the chalet. One time I was walking, and the no man's land is very dangerous. So one time I was walking, and we had a sniper who began shooting at me. Thank God he missed.
And over the duration of this violent war, it affected the civilians in a drastic way, leaving them scarred with memories they can never forget. With the citizens having to live through the harsh firefight and loud bombing, everyone was swarmed with fear and filled with sadness, never knowing when or where the next bomb may hit.
During that time, I remember the scary part were not the bombs. The scary part were the silence between the bombs.
In the late 70s, when the war had started to flare up, it caused families to flee, and children and adults had to hide in shelters.
That every time we hear bombs, we fled to the shelter. And in the shelter, we were a lot of people. And and everybody went down with their mattress and their blankets and their cards and their games and their pipes and their argile. And it was a social event.
During the war, civilians living in the city, whether they were children or adults, had to be prepared for anything to happen. Because at any time, Lebanon's capital city Beirut could be attacked once again. Thousands of bombs and explosives were dropped on Beirut. The deafening sounds left people with long-term health problems.
I cannot hear loud noises. I cannot hear two people having a fight. I like peace. I cannot plan for the future.
On October 22, 1989, the majority of the Lebanese parliament gathered in Taif, Saudi Arabia, to conduct a meeting to accept a new document that restored the Lebanese government, reducing the power of the Maronite president as well as the Sunni prime minister. When January of 1990 arrived, friction commenced between General Un and Samir in East Beirut. Jaja led the LF, which was extremely expensive to the Maronite clan community. Over several months, it led to a great deal of deaths who were mostly Lebanese Christians. The Lebanese War terminated when the Syrian troops launched a ground and air attack on Un that forced him to vanish from the country.